We'll give people a few more minutes to come rolling in. But for now, let's shift gears. Let yourself take in the entire room at once. Soften your vision. And just land right here where you are. Your day will try to pull you out of the moment, and you just simply return. Here they come. Step into this moment and just breathe. Slow yourself way down. There's something so magical about letting it all come to a stop. That stopping point is this present moment. That stopping point is a crack within your world. A crack within the walls of your prison. That stopping point takes you out of the past and future. And there are implications to that that most people will never consider. All your limitations are stories from your past and fears for your future. All the rules that bind you, they're a system of stories from your past. You've been so lost in them, you've turned them into an identity. But when you can slow yourself down, slow, slow, place where silences are not uncomfortable, to a place where nothing needs to happen. When you can just come to a stop and be with what's actually here. Your world cracks open to the present moment. And suddenly, you can become anything. All the rules disappear. You can build in any direction. But first, you have to just be able to be there, stably. You have to know when you're there and know when you're not there. Be there now. Those of you who have been coming for a long time, you know where that place is in consciousness. Once you've seen it, you can let go back into it. The more you do, the more your experience of it builds. It's like an awareness that stores up in your being. And over time, it leads to deeper and deeper realizations. But you don't have to make those happen. You just have to stop. To let it all stop. through a period where the world around us is drowning. Everything feels so full, like you can't get any space from it. To find that stopping point in a way where your world can crack open requires a more fine line approach where you have to actually stay really with it. It's not about clinging to it with a focus. It's more about being acutely aware of that line and aware when you're leaving it. It's the only real way to get a break from it. So give yourself that tonight. In times like this, you strengthen your ability to be there so that when life goes back to normal, you can get there so easily. Slow yourself down to this moment and just breathe in this moment. Breathe in, breathe out, and nothing else. Not with willpower, but with willingness. Just willingness to go there. Not about pulling yourself to it, but just letting go of your resistance to it and letting go of anything that keeps you from it. Willingness. Stay in this moment. Just make it your home. The more time you spend here, the more your environment will match you. Your home will start to resonate with peace and stillness. Even the weather around you will change. People will start to respond differently to you. That heaviness you feel on the periphery of yourself. There's nothing to be done about it. Drop the rope. just attend to this moment. Release all comparisons and just have this experience. All the monsters of life lose their power when you stop engaging in comparison. Heavy. Heavy is only heavy relative to something else. Tired is only tired relative to some other moment when you weren't tired. Drop your comparisons. And these energies lose their meaning. Do it now. Show yourself. Have this experience without comparison. Let go of time. Time is just another comparison. Sit here as if you've always been sitting here and will always be sitting here. It's a control issue. But when you let go of comparison, there's nothing to control. The moment is free to fluctuate, to become whatever it is. And you aren't there trying to fight it back into an old shape. Let it be what it is, and you'll see that you're actually free. Show yourself now. Let this moment be exactly what it is. Ask nothing of it, and don't compare it to another moment. It's the great paradox of life. If you want freedom, you have to let go of your need to decide what every moment is going to feel like. Because it keeps you trapped in that mechanism. Your attention magnifies the lack and dissatisfaction that comes about from the comparison. And you're stuck. But when there's no comparison, there's no lack. and your attention just magnifies the natural state. Nothing to think about. Nothing to understand or figure out. And certainly nothing to achieve. Just be here. When the end of your life comes, all these stories will be ripped out of your hands. And you'll be forced to do exactly what we're talking about now, which is just drop the rope entirely. Let it all just go, so that you can return to what you are. If you don't learn to do it now, you won't be prepared when the time comes. When that time comes, you need to be able to just put it down without clinging. There should be no pushing or pulling or ripping from your hands. You'll just let it go and leave, moving on to what's next. But that can only happen if you've learned how to do it. You have to know what you really are. To know that you're not that system of stories, that system of attitudes and opinions and attachments, roles and relationships. None of that is you. It's just this weird, colorful ride that you got stuck on. That at the end of every cycle, rather than getting off the ride, you find some other thing to crave after, and so you stay on, even though you're nauseous. But there's a million exit points. Every breath offers an exit point in between the inhale and the exhale, in between the exhale and the inhale. You learn how to step off. guys. I think we're going to end a little early tonight. I feel like the arc of the class has gone up and come down. This week, find your stopping point. Every day, minimum once a day. Find that place of stopping. And don't get up until your world has cracked open. And you can be in the space that you are now. That authentic place where what you really are, beyond the stories, has room to breathe. Now, theoretically, I will be here next Thursday. I'm going to be traveling. I should have access to internet, so it shouldn't be a problem. But if something goes wrong, that's what happened. But I've never missed a class, so I'm sure life has my back at this point. But I will see you all next Thursday, and I wish you all a good week. Find your stopping point, and I will see you in a week from another country. All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah, go for it, Rosalma.
Can you repeat what you said about the monsters and setting them free? And are those monsters the thoughts that we constantly get, those racing thoughts that cause anxiety and depression?
Okay, so I vaguely remember what you're referencing. Can anybody give me I say these things in a different state of consciousness, and so I don't always remember them clearly. Does anyone remember the monsters comment and can give me a few words to jog my memory?
I don't. I wrote down all the stuff about the comparison stuff, though.
Okay, let me just.
You said something about the monsters and being free, but I can't remember the whole thing because I was going to write it down and then I lost it.
Okay. What I said about being free was probably something to the effect of the irony that in order to be free, you have to actually let go of control. You have to, through releasing your comparisons, you have to actually let this moment be exactly what it is, which means you're no longer controlling it, and in doing that, that's where you find your freedom. Because the dictates of the past are no longer assessing the present. I didn't say that, but that's what I meant.
I wrote down, just so you know, it said, when you let go of comparison, a person or a moment in time, you are set free of it. No comparison, no less. Magnifies the natural state. Nothing to achieve, just be. Drop the rope entirely so you can return to that you are. Put it down without clinging. You are not the system, stories, roles, or relationships. It's a weird, colorful ride you got stuck on. Every breath offers an extra point.
Wow, Joanna, that's great. Usually when students read me their notes, it's like, I didn't say anything like that, but that was perfect. I think the monsters...
Well, thank you.
The monsters are the things that grow, Rosalma, out of your comparisons. All the things in your life that feel so difficult, they come from you taking this moment and comparing it to another moment. And when you step into the present moment that means you stop comparing this moment to the past or worrying about where it's going in the future. In that moment,
So, okay.
nothing can get you because all of the monsters in your life are actually part of the systems of the stories in your past.
Okay.
So when you are no longer
So,
reaching to your past to compare it to this moment, all those things fall away. You'll notice it more and more when you come to this class and you really give yourself to the meditation. You'll notice, like, sometimes you'll come and things will be really bad in your life story, but through shifting, suddenly none of those problems are in the space, and it's not because you fixed them. It's because you're literally not pulling your past into the present in that moment. And that's what I meant
so
about
when I'm
that.
think,
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
okay, and then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. It's
It's
just
okay.
I want to grasp what you're saying. So in reality, let me see if I understand. What you're saying is when I'm having all these thoughts and I feel the pressure in my chest that I can't breathe, and I start hyperventilating and I feel anxious and I start to cry and all that,
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying is forget about all that was in the past. Just think about that past already. This is the present moment. And when I come to realize that I'm in the present, that that's part of my past, and let go, and then I'll feel better because I'll be free of that. Is that in essence what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, but let me give that to you in a way that I think you might have a chance of pulling it off.
Okay.
So, because that's a tall order, what you just mentioned. That's not easy to do. So,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, let's say you are sitting in that moment and you are feeling anxiety and there's something just pressing on your chest and you are starting to cry because you feel like you just can't get away from this unacceptable feeling, okay? Or maybe it's attached to an unacceptable story, okay? All of those feelings are magnified. What's being magnified is how unacceptable they are. And the reason they're unacceptable is because you're comparing them to another moment in time. We do this so automatically that we don't see that that's exactly what we're doing, but that's what we're doing. And so the road out of that is actually to stop trying to get away from it. Instead, it's here I am, I'm Rosalma, I'm sitting here in this moment. I have pressure in my chest. I have this fiery heat of anxiety rising in me, and I'm breathing like I'm about to cry. What is this experience of feeling this anxiety and feeling this pressure, and you just walk right into it? Here I am. I'm feeling pressure. I'm feeling anxious as I'm breathing in this moment. And you just stop trying to escape what's happening right here, right now. You make room for it. You let it be there. And what happens is, in that moment, you do stop comparing it. And so that energy that was so magnified, that dissatisfied, unhappy, escapist energy that was causing so much pain, that gets lifted out of the equation after a few minutes of really letting what is be. And what you'll find is that the more time you spend there, not asking the moment to be different than it is, the present moment has a self-balancing feature to it that will start to move all of that out of you. You know, it might take a while of practicing this, to get good at it. But if you keep coming, we'll keep training you, and you will get to a point. I've gotten to a point where I can have horrible things happening in my personal story. But when I sit down to teach this class, I step fiercely into the present moment and none of it exists. I've had to teach classes where I was dumped 5 minutes by text before the class started. And, you come in, you sit down, and suddenly you're just engaging with what's real again. Not a bunch of drama and stories and magnified silliness from your past or your future. In that moment that I'm sitting down to teach the class, I sit down, it's like, okay, there's a feeling of shock in my body. Here's all my students. Let's just be with this. Let it all be okay exactly the way it is. And the moment just comes to life in a self-balancing way.
So do you psych yourself out and say something to yourself I'm just trying to, because I was okay, so I haven't been on here, and now all of a sudden something from my past happened.
Okay.
So I'm back to being anxious and very depressed. But I was okay for like over a year. So now
Okay.
I'm trying to not be crying every day, not to isolate. So do you psych yourself out by saying, okay, that happened already? There's nothing I can do to change that. I have to like move forward and I have to see how I can make things better, like moving forward, something like that. I don't know.
So that's a level of things, right? You can sit down and actually work with yourself cognitively to reframe what you're dealing with. Okay, that's work that you do in the level of the story. And that's different from meditation and present moment living, but there's value to that too. You could even go see someone who does cognitive behavioral therapy, and they could guide you through that in a really disciplined way. But spiritual work, the meditative work, is actually to let it all be exactly what it is. All right? Don't ask it to be something different. Recognize that if you can be okay with it for a year and then all of a sudden you're not okay, then its presence is not what makes you okay or not okay. It's actually how your mind plays with it that decides whether you're okay or not okay. But I want to acknowledge that some things are very convoluted in life and very twisted up inside of ourselves. And so if you need a counselor or professional help in that way, I really encourage people to do that. But while you're doing,
Thank you.
yeah, while you're doing that, there's no reason why you can't also learn to step into this moment and experience yourself independent of your collection of stories from this life. Because that's a temporary part of you that's always changing. And then there's a part of you that is ever present. And most people never even get to know that part of themselves. But when you do, you come to realize, oh, at a deep level, I'm always actually okay. Just sometimes I leave my state of okayness to have an experience with lack. I leave my state of empowered well-being to have an experience of loss or an experience of feeling not safe. And that's not to diminish bad things that happen to us in the story. We're living in a very challenging set of stories. But the way that we approach that in this class is to take that all into the context of, in this present moment, there's room for everything to be what it needs to be. There's nothing to reject in this moment. And when you can do that, then a lot of the mechanisms through which you magnify your suffering get shut down. And you get to actually have an experience of what you are, independent of this ever-changing set of stories. And that might be something that's going to take some time to percolate in you. You know, I'm not sure people get that immediately, and there's many levels to that. But I think the way to approach it from our end is to spend about 15 minutes minimum every day just sitting down and being in this moment while you breathe. All right, and letting everything kind of come to a stop, so that even if your stories are giving you trouble, there's time in any given day where you get to experience what you are outside of all of that. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's a good way to start approaching it. Yes. I
Yeah.
appreciate your clarification and thank you for the recommendations. I've been seeing a therapist for 10 years already.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay, good for you.
but you know, I'm just feel like I'm going back again. So I want to try and be in the present. So I started journaling to let it all out and calm down.
Yeah.
So, but thank you. That's a good way to approach it. I'm going to actually do that tonight before I go to bed. Just take 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and just try and be in the moment meditating.
I think it's a great idea. And just remember, life is always cycling. So you have times where the wind is at your back and everything seems easy, and times where you're kind of walking against the wind. And it sounds like you're walking against the wind right now. And that's okay. You know, that strengthens your legs, right? It actually, the clarity that you get while doing that, even though it doesn't come as easily, strengthens you so that when the wind is at your back, you can go even further than you could have gone otherwise. You know, so there's value to every experience, you know. It comes down to how you approach it. But it sounds like you're someone who does a lot of good work on yourself. So I'm not too worried, and keep coming back, and we'll keep teaching you meditation.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet. Okay, everybody.
I enjoyed this session.
Good. I'm so glad. All right, everyone. I will see you next Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Have a good restful night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kim. Have a good trip if we don't see you.
Thank you. Bye.